Primary school capitation in Kenya traces its roots to the free primary education policy. Over time, the system has evolved into a more structured framework where funding is broken down into specific budget lines or vote heads released in phases aligned to the school calendar. Currently, each learner is allocated funds across the 3 terms. Faith Wangari has more.
Primary schools capitation in Kenya has its roots in the free primary education policy introduced in 2003, a major reform aimed at removing cost barriers and boosting schools' enrollment. At the start of the program, the government introduced per learning funding to replace direct school fees. Instead of parents paying tuition, the state began financing basic education by sending money directly to schools through what became known as capitation grants. Over time, the system was refined to make funding more structured and predictable. The funds were broken down to vote heads, specific budget lines such as textbooks, stationery, infrastructure, maintenance, utilities, and co-curricular activities. This was intended to improve accountability and ensure that the money directly supports learning needs. As enrollment increased and the cost of education rose, the per learner allocation was periodically reviewed. In the current framework, primary school capitation is capped at 1,400 per learner per year, with the funds released in 3 phases across the school calendar. That is 50% in the first term, 30% in the second term, and 20% in the third term. This phased release system helps the government manage cash flow while aligning disbursement with the school calendar. The capitation is calculated based on the cost of educating each learner, with funds distributed across specific expenditure lines, commonly referred to as vote heads, to counter for key school needs. Once the National Treasury releases the funds, the Ministry of Education allocates them to school and issues a circular clearly outlining how the money should be spent under each vote head. The figures currently in circulation are based on second term, meaning they reflect only a portion of the total yearly capitation and not the full allocation for the year. The ministry has also clarified that all amounts indicated are calculated per learner, not per school, and the allocations under each vote head depend on the total funds received from the National Treasury at that time. Under the latest breakdown, 92 shillings per learner has been allocated for learning materials, including textbooks and stationery. At the same time, 93 shillings per learner has been set aside for school operations, covering essential costs such as staff support, maintenance, utilities, and examinations. Overall, the ministry maintains the capitation funds are distributed in phases, with each release accompanied by a detailed expenditure guide to ensure proper utilization at the school level. Faith Wangari, TV 47.